after you drive it for like half an hour, like it will start smoking.
It's smoking.
The whole interior is just falling apart, like there are plastic breaking and stuff. I don't know if it's because this car is set under the sun for a long time, or is it because of just GM's quality. So overall, I took a 10,000 loss on this car. Now this is the biggest loss on my whole journey as a car enthusiast, right? Like it's painful to even talk about it, right? Now American cars in Australia, they are kind of an exotic animal because they are really niche. They are not as common because not only they're expensive, parts for them are really hard to find, so they are not as common. And if you know anything about me, I like things that are not typical, they are not usual. I tend to buy cars that normally people wouldn't buy. And the problem with buying interesting cars like this, it's one thing to buy them, it's another thing to sell them, because there's just not many, like the market is just not that hot. So this is like the cheapest C4 Corvette in Australia, right? It came up in Facebook Marketplace. I showed it to Chloe, and Chloe told me, do not buy this car, right? And now I learn, always listen to Chloe, because she's right, because if I were to listen to her, I wouldn't have lost $10,000 on this car. Now, why is it the cheapest? Because when cars get imported to Australia, we need to go through like a certain process to make it road legal in Australia. So when I bought this car, it hasn't went through the whole compliant process to be able to register it on the road. It just have the approval permit to import this car into the country. So obviously there are still probably like a few $1,000s worth of work to make sure it's compliant in Australia. Like the lights, it has to change to amber, the seat belts has to be changed, and few other things, little things here and there. It has to pass engineering to be road legal, right? Before getting compliance, you can only drive them around with an unregistered vehicle permit, and there's certain restrictions on that, like you can't drive it at night. It really varies state to state on like what are those restrictions are. So because of that reason, like this is like the cheapest C4 Corvette in Australia. So normally they will go for like about $30,000-$40,000, maybe $50,000 for a clean one. So it really depends on what kind of model. Now the C4 Corvette is really interesting. It produced anywhere from 1984 all the way to 1996, and then it had a facelift in 1991. Now the first version of the Corvette, it only made 200 horsepower, and it had the crossfire ignition system that is a pain to work on. And then afterwards they moved on to the LT1. The LT1 is basically the previous version of the LS. The biggest difference between the LS and the LT was the LT is cast iron, where compared to the LS is all aluminum, and the body is all made out of aluminum unit body. It's a true sports car, right? And then the desirable version to get is the ZR1, which has the LT5. It made more power, and if you can get it in manual, it's like the best version to get. They are definitely really underrated. Haggerty made an awesome video about the ZR1. You should definitely go and check it out. This Corvette, it came out in 1994. Obviously, it's the facelifted model. It came with LT1 and an automatic. It made roughly around like 300 horsepower, right? And it's really awesome to drive, and it sounds awesome as well, especially with the muffler chopped off. So this guy listed for 26.5, and I thought maybe I could get a deal. Like this is not one of those deals where I think I could bargain, because this is already like the cheapest. So when I go and have a look, I'm a very impulsive buyer, so I get emotional and stuff, and this is so cool, man. So he will not budge on the price, and then end up I paid like $25,000. So we organized to pick it up, paid him a deposit and stuff, and paid him the money, picked up the car. Now, my first impression of this car is, even though it has only done 60,000 miles, which is like 100,000 kilometers, the interior is really worn out. The seats are, like it drives like a $300,000, kilometer car. The whole interior is just falling apart, like their plastic breaking and stuff. I don't know if it's because this car is sat under the sun for a long time, or is it because of just GM's quality. The interior is just not the best. I've driven Japanese cars that has done over 200,000 kilometers, and they are not as bad as like the interior of this car. So I'm thinking maybe the someone has played with the odometer. Apparently not, because there is Carfax in America, and it's a very comprehensive car history to the place where they have been serviced, or like down to the exact things like past emissions and stuff. So when I look at the Carfax, it is genuine. Like it matches the odometer, right? We don't really have that so much of a comprehensive report in Australia. So so I thought maybe the odometer has been messed up, but it's not. It's genuine kilometers, right? It's lived in California its whole life, so it's just GM quality that is like that bad. Now this car is the cheapest for a reason, because it needs quite a bit of work to bring it up to scratch. So the muffler has been chopped off, so it sounds awesome, but at the same time it drones really badly. It's leaking oil. If after you drive it for like half an hour, like it will start smoking. It's smoking. Right? The battery just went dead. And the interior, it's falling apart. So and the well, the pop-up headlights didn't pop up properly, because apparently like the gears inside these headlight models, it will wear off, and you need to change like the gears inside the pop-up headlights. And one really common problem to go wrong with these cars is that the OptiSpark, right? The water pump will leak water into the OptiSpark, and it will start causing misfiring. It will cause it not to run right. And it's located just right underneath the water pump. So the water pump will go, and the OptiSpark will go at the same time. So when people replace these things, they will replace two of these at the same time. Because since if you are in there already, why not just do the whole thing at once? But luckily, the water pump wasn't leaking. There's no problems with the OptiSpark. So yeah, like those are the few things that, like just little bits and pieces that needs to be taken care of. So I will need to spend another like probably $10,000 to get it up to scratch, and I will need a lot more time to be able to do all of these things. I drove it around, and like the feeling is just awesome. Driving a left-hand drive car in Australia, in Australia is right-hand drive. So driving around, people just like, they looked at him like, what is this car? It's just, I love that feeling. So again, I didn't have any space in my apartment, so I have to put it at my parents' house, and I will just drive it once in a while on the unregistered vehicle permit. It was fine. Until I had to move, right? I had plans for this car. I was thinking of like getting it compliant, getting it up to spec, and maybe like sell it for a profit, drive it for a bit. Obviously, like that didn't happen. It sat in my parents' garage for a long time, and then I had to move. So when I had to move, I need a bunch of cash. So I thought, like the easiest way to get cash fast is to like sell one of my cars. Unfortunately, I have to sell this, so I put it up for sale for a long time, right? For a month or two, like roughly like the same price, and people, they don't seem to be interested. And I would just get like these odd inquiries like once in a while, but that's about it, even though it was the cheapest in the country. Eventually I'm like, man, I really need the cash fast, right? You know how moving house and stuff. So I just put it up on eBay for an auction. and I end up selling it for 15.7, right? Minus the fees and stuff is about $15,000. So overall, I took a 10,000 loss on this car. Now this is the biggest loss on my whole journey as a car enthusiast, right? Like it's painful to even talk about it. And this is basically what this plate represents, is the a C4 Corvette that I lost $10,000 on it. I mean, you know, like, it is what it is. I had fun with this car. So the moral of the story is, if you want to buy something really unique, go into the mindset of like, it's gonna be really hard to sell, right? I always say this, like, it's one thing to buy one of these unique cars, it's also another story to sell them, because it'll be really hard to sell. It might sit on your garage for like 6 months before someone that is interested that will pay the money that you ask for. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll really appreciate if you can show us your support by liking this video, subscribing, hitting the bell, or maybe share it with your friends, because it will really help out to grow this channel, right? Now, with that being said, right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.